BYD has announced that their newest EV platform is going to be capable of charging up to 1 megawatt of power, which is truly an unprecedented leap forward for the passenger vehicle market. The race toward a cleaner future has always seemed locked between electric cars and old combustion engines, but suddenly, a stunning twist has caught everyone off guard. BYD's CEO just revealed a brand new engine that he claims will destroy all electric cars. The world is buzzing, and many are eager to understand if this bold move could truly reshape everything we thought we knew. BYD has grown into this powerhouse. If you look at the monthly rankings, they're always at the top, rethinking the future. It all started with a statement that felt like a sudden shock across the automotive world. Wang Chuanfu, the CEO of BYD, stood before a packed audience at a private event in Shenzhen, China. This new engine, he said, pausing for effect, will destroy all electric cars. At first people thought they had misunderstood him. BYD had built its empire on electric vehicles, pushing China and much of the world toward a battery-powered future. Why would Wang, the man behind the world's biggest EV company, make such a claim? You will want to keep watching because the details will leave you stunned. BYD was developing a revolutionary internal combustion engine, something the world had not seen before. It was not just a tweak to an old idea, it was a brand new design that promised unmatched fuel efficiency, ultra-low emissions, and the ability to run on multiple types of fuel, including green alternatives. This was not about clinging to the past, it was about setting a new standard for the future, one that did not rely solely on batteries and charging stations. The timing of this announcement was no accident. Around the world, the electric car market had started to show cracks. Battery shortages, high costs, and concerns about the environmental impact of mining had started to raise new questions. Obviously, a fully electric future really wasn't as clean and simple as it had been sold. Wang's words tapped into a growing feeling of doubt. Maybe the industry had moved too quickly or too blindly, and maybe there was another way. As Wang explained, this new engine had been quietly in development for years. BYD's team of engineers had been working in secret, driven by the mission to create a powertrain that could outperform electric cars in every important way. They aimed for a fuel economy that could rival or even beat electric efficiency, while keeping emissions so low they would meet even the toughest global regulations. Most importantly, they wanted to bring back the driving experience filled with excitement and passion that many drivers felt they had lost in the switch to silent, heavy EVs. With a slight smile, he reminded everyone that real innovation often comes from questioning the obvious, not following the crowd. His message was simply that the future of cars might not belong to electricity alone. A new era could be starting, and BYD intended to lead it. These were not just bold claims, they carried a deeper message to the whole industry. In a world racing toward full electrification, he was daring to say what few others would even whisper. Electrification is not the only answer. While electric vehicles had captured the world's attention, Wang believed that putting all hope into a single technology was short-sighted. The future, he suggested, needed to be more open, more flexible, and more practical. Instead of forcing everyone down the same narrow path, BYD's new engine opened the door to a broader, more balanced future. A world where multiple technologies could work side by side. In Wang's view, true sustainability was not about picking a winner. It was about giving the world options that made sense for different people, different places, and different needs. Not every country could build massive charging networks overnight. Not every driver wanted to trade convenience and performance for longer charging times and limited range. Wang's vision painted a very different picture of the future. It was not just electric versus gasoline anymore. It was about smarter engines, cleaner fuels, and electric vehicles all sharing the road. The message was simple. A true revolution does not shut doors, it opens them. In Wang's view, sticking only to electric cars was not real innovation, it was tunnel vision. True progress would come from letting engineers and dreamers test every idea, even the ones that did not fit the current trend. It was about throwing every tool on the table and seeing which ones worked best in different situations. Cities, rural areas, long-distance travel, racing, shipping, personal commuting. All these needs were different, and no single solution could serve them all perfectly. And as this new idea spread through the audience, it was impossible not to wonder what the impact could be if a giant in the electric world like BYD, which CNN recently reported had overtaken Tesla, was willing to rethink the narrative. Who else might follow? It was not just a small shift in conversation, it could spark a whole new way of thinking across the industry. Startups, who often felt forced to play by the electric rulebook to attract funding, might now find the courage to pursue riskier and more creative ideas. Big companies, who had already spent heavily on battery plants and EV platforms, might start setting aside some of their budgets to explore alternative technologies again. The fear of being left behind in the EV race had frozen many companies into narrow thinking. But BYD's announcement could start to thaw that ice. There was a feeling in the air, almost like the early days of the car industry when inventors tried steam, gasoline, electricity, and even compressed air. Back then, the spirit of experimentation had built the foundation for everything that came after. Wang's message hinted that it might be time to bring that spirit back. This new wave of thinking would not just make cars cleaner, it could also make them more diverse and better suited to the many different lifestyles people live around the world. It could lead to vehicles that were tailored to their environments, rather than forcing every driver into the same electric mold. It was about embracing complexity instead of fearing it. As the cameras flashed and the crowd buzzed, you could almost sense the beginning of a quiet rebellion. A new era could be near, one where creativity, not conformity, would shape the future of transportation. BYD had not just launched an engine, it had lit a spark, and nobody knew just how far it might spread. The reaction to this bold announcement was nothing short of electric, sparking debates, discussions, and plenty of questions. The global automotive community was suddenly divided, with some seeing this new engine as a potential breakthrough, while others dismissed it as wishful thinking. For years, electric vehicles had dominated headlines, driven by governments' green energy goals and the industry's push for a cleaner future. So, when a major player in the EV world like BYD came out with a statement like this, it was bound to create waves. While some of the newer internal combustion engine technologies have made impressive strides in fuel economy, electric cars with their energy-efficient motors and instant torque have set a high bar. BYD's new engine would need to deliver similar or better performance in terms of energy consumption to be competitive. Then there's the matter of emissions. Over the years, the automotive world has made great strides in reducing the environmental impact of internal combustion engines. Technologies like turbocharging and variable valve timing have helped lower fuel consumption and emissions. However, even with these advancements, the reality is that a traditional combustion engine will never match the zero-emission benefit of an electric motor. For BYD to bring this new engine to market, it would need to meet increasingly stringent environmental standards set by governments worldwide. These standards aren't just limited to emissions, there are also regulations surrounding noise pollution, fuel quality, and even the sustainability of the materials used in the construction of the engine. For BYD, convincing the public that this engine is genuinely green and sustainable will require more than just a flashy marketing campaign. They will need to deliver solid performance, prove fuel efficiency, and meet environmental standards. If they succeed, this new engine could carve out a niche for itself in eco-friendly cars, one that doesn't rely solely on electric motors but instead offers a balance of both worlds. Right now, BYD is pushing forward behind the scenes to bring it to life, but a clear launch date has not yet been confirmed. Some industry experts believe it could happen sooner than expected, because BYD has been quietly developing this technology for years. However, bringing a revolutionary idea from the lab into millions of vehicles is never easy, and it requires careful timing. It is likely that BYD will first introduce the new engine within its existing lineup. They already have strong brands in both electric and hybrid markets, so adding the engine to popular models could be a smart move. On the other hand, given the importance of this breakthrough, BYD might decide to launch an entirely new series of vehicles around it. That approach would allow them to build a fresh image without confusing buyers who already associate BYD with electric cars. Chinese automaker BYD has opened its first electric vehicle plant. Right now, both options are still open, and whichever path they choose will have a big impact on how the public receives the new technology. Getting the engine ready for mass production is another huge step. Even though BYD has world-class factories and supply chains, building something this new at scale will involve extra layers of testing, adjustments, and approvals. They will have to ensure the engine meets strict environmental rules in every region they want to sell it. Different countries have different standards, and even small differences could create big headaches if not addressed early. BYD will also need to make sure that real-world performance matches the promises made during the launch, especially when it comes to efficiency and emissions. People will not just take their word for it. Thanks for tuning in and staying with us until the end. We hope you found this deep dive into BYD's new engine technology insightful. As the automotive industry continues to evolve, it's exciting to see how new innovations will shape the future of transportation. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe for more updates on the latest in automotive breakthroughs. Until next time, drive safe and stay curious.